about team engagement. You always have these
Whoa.
interesting numbers around team engagement and how it's reflecting in productivity and
Well,
revenue.
look, yeah, like the Gallup numbers,
Yeah, the Gallup.
where we are, I think the average Australian New Zealand business has something like 11%. I need to look them up again, but fully engaged people, and that something like 70% are quietly quitting. Now,
Quietly quitting.
yeah, they're just turning up,
Hmm.
taking the money, doing what's needed to be done so as the finger can't be pointed at them, and then walking out the door. But they're also got a half an eye out the door. And you can tell this by you can tell whether people
Engagement.
are engaged. Well, look, I always go to pick your business metric. Now, particularly ones like, I mean, you've got obvious ones. You've got presenteeism, absenteeism,
Hmm.
um, staff turnover. Those are the captain obvious ones. But if you've got a quality issue in your company, if you've got a more high fault rate or a higher customer complaint rate, I'll almost guarantee you can track that back to disengagement.
Hmm.
And that it can be tracked back to the quality of the leadership.
Hmm.
So the first rule, as far as I'm concerned, first tip you need to know about team engagement is that it's on you as the leader. Rule number one, look in the
This
mirror.
is always coming back to the leader. I mean, um, yeah, it is always coming back to the leader.
Well, they do the selecting, don't they? So
I
again,
do
you
this.
you select for the team, and
Yeah.
that's another really interesting thing about the profiling, the being framework and what
Mm.
we use, because this gives more than just behavioral.
That's
Um,
that's right.
it gets down and into under the bonnet and looks at what is people's relationship with issues such as responsibility. Where are they at in terms of communication and partnership?
Yeah.
With both those things are super important in terms of um, teamwork. Where are
Yeah.
they at with vulnerability?
Yeah.
And are they aware of it? How
And
attached are they to authenticity? So these are, this is why I love the being profile and the being framework. It is such an insight. And then when you can group that all into a team profile, then okay, now we have insights. And I'm going to now say, and that's just the machine.
and I think I do also want to highlight, and we come back to the machine, what you mean with that, highlight that a behavior is a symptom. So the being profile, as you just explained, is going underneath the bonnet of the symptom. So if you have a behavior of disengagement or behavior of or procrastination, or silently disengaging. That's the one to watch out for. There's something more going underneath the inner sort of human qualities, which is, aspects of being what you've highlighted. What's their responsible relationship with responsibility, accountability, also even care. How much
Hmm.
how do people care? And that's the really sort of a good thing about the being profile, to look at it on that level rather than just looking at a symptom. Someone
Yeah.
is disengaged, especially, I mean, it's sort of in the nature of disengagement to be silent, but it's something for a leader to watch out for. If someone just silently drops off, what's what's going what's going on there. Um, yeah.
Well, there's an expertise in flying under the radar. My younger brother was an absolute expert at flying under the radar. He managed to complete school, get no qualifications, do squat, and never get really into trouble. So he never got into the service
That's
like
That's
did.
such a, that is such a good point. Yeah, it's an extra quality. I had someone in my team. He was going a bit under the radar and kind of avoiding a little bit.
Hmm.
He was sort of performing middle of the range, and then he was starting to drop off even more. And the thing is, that's when the silent disengagement comes. And then we needed to look at this. And then he came out with that he was a software developer, and he said, I'm doing this, for the last 15 years. I'm over it. I want to do something different. And wow, there's where the disengagement
Yeah,
comes from.
I'm bored.
Oh, yeah. And once we moved
Mm.
him into a different role, he re-engaged and he was very proactive. And he was getting things done that others didn't want to touch because it seemed to be like a can of worms. And it was really great to watch.
And that is hugely important.
Yeah.
Know what it is that your team members want to get out of the work they do.
Mm.
What is it that they want to challenge? Other people who might have challenges all over their life at this particular point don't just want to come to work and do the work. They're not looking for any additional challenges. So it's best those that are looking for challenges and those that are not. And
Mm.
those that want to be. And again, I go back to this analogy that of a rowing eight. I keep everybody in the boat on their oars, and each one of those specialist positions in a rowing eight is a specialist position. They each have their particular skills for being in that particular seat, and they've all done their work to get into the boat. But the reason they're there will all be different.
Mm.
The reason they might want to win a Olympic gold medal, you could have 9 different reasons because they've got coxswain.
Yeah.
9 different reasons as to why they want to. But knowing that why is absolutely vital. And
Mm.
if you're the leader, you probably need to know the other 8 whys. If you're the coach, coxswain, I mean, you need to know the other 8 whys. Why is it? What is it that is there besides the glory? What are they going to do with the glory?
And connected to their work. Um,
That's right. So if we talk about it, put it into a workplace situation, um, and I think I've talked on the podcast before, this guy was 26 years jogging paper to put into guillotines and die cutting. That was his job. How do you make that meaningful? Well, he didn't, but he was able to be satisfied with the job he was doing, and he was heading into retirement. So understanding that he wanted to go into retirement meant that we could engage him in this job by structuring his work in that way. He
and
wanted, yeah,
and
so
it
he
was
became
as such
part-time.
as such it was an important job because he actually did a job that many people wouldn't want to do. And you even said that he did it, with a high quality and precision
Absolutely.
for 26
He
years.
cared about
That's
it. He cared
incredible.
about it. And then the challenge is for us as a leadership team to say, well, okay, if Bert's going into retirement, how are we going to fill that hole? How are we going to find someone else? Or are we going to use technology? And are we phasing that job out?
Yeah.
This is again, there's an opportunity there to pick up productivity by using technology and working with the right people. This job was such an interesting job because the board had made the decision that we were not, as a company, going to replace humans with technology. So if I was to lower the numbers in the company, it would have to be through natural attrition.
Yeah.
And also people wanted to leave. So upskilling people was really important too, because if we needed to have people leave, they needed to go to good jobs. So again, I believe very much in that, and that if this you want to talk about team engagement, you've got to know your staff.
Yeah.
You've got to know who they are, what they want out of life, how you can play a part in helping them get to where they want to go. Because if everybody's coming to work to participate in your team with the idea that if I do this right, I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
get the next job. I'm going to get the next step up. I'm going to get peace and quiet at work so as I can deal with the crap that's out there in the world, whatever it is.
And the thing is also to watch out for, I mean, as you understand and know your team, sort of always watch out for any changes. So if someone has a change in behavior,
Mm,
um, finding out what's going on and really being aware what's going on. People can go through hardship and they have a phase in their life where they're maybe not so focused and productive because there's stuff going on in their private life, but it may not be forever. And it's
mm,
good to understand and support them in that. And then there is this silent, silent disengagement where something is happening that could be of a more permanent reason. Well, that doesn't mean that you can't help them either if you have the opportunity, like with this employee I had, we could move him into a different role. That's not always the opportunity is not always there. But I find, yeah, you have to be aware of your team, what they want, align it with work as much as possible. Be aware of if anything changes, you have to be a people manager. You can't just look at projects and tasks. As a leader, you have to be a people manager.
And I think, you need to engage the other teams around you. Um, and that can be inside the company, um, or even external or internal. I've discussed before about building solid relationships with suppliers and
Mm,
customers to the point where you make it your business to be aware of their HR needs as well as your
mm.
own.
That's right. That's
S-
a really good point, actually. It's not just only your team, it's also the interfacing other teams, or it's teams of clients and building these relationships. And also building collaborative teams. Again,
mm.
that's another level of engagement.
And
And
I, and if you can do that and you get this conversation going, you can become aware of where opportunities might be for um, staff that want to change
mm,
what
mm,
their career is.
yeah.
Because one of the biggest issues, I don't know if you've ever had this chat, but I have. You, you step out from an area where you have developed an expert level of knowledge, and you get paid for that. So because you have that expertise, now I want to go and do something else, and there's a massive change in pay scale because you were being paid for your expertise, and now you want to go. Well, the one of the tricks there is to gradually change the course of direction. Don't do it dramatically. If you're really really good at marketing, change products maybe, um, rather than say, oh, I want to go into accounts now. It's
Mm, mm.
Anyway, look, that's a little off topic, but the point is that know what your team members want, know what opportunities are out there that you can access for them, and know what education and support they need. And that shows that talks about caring for them.
Mm.
I mean, the other Gallup number that really leaps out is that a engaged employee is 3.5 times more productive than a disengaged employee.
Yeah, that's that's the number that is quite impressive. Yeah.
Yes. And when you think of a time when we can't, it's hard to find. Everybody always says, and I mean, even when unemployment rates are much higher than what they are now, it's really hard to get the right people. So why on earth would you want to take the possibility of them being disengaged?
And
Really?
and also, I mean, um, the thing is, I mean, you mentioned earlier, it does come back to the leader, and it's true, the leader is hiring people. Are you hiring the right fit? is, do they have the right behaviors to be in this role? Do they show engagement during the hiring process, and what's their motivation? So that's kind of where it starts, to create a good foundation for engagement. But then there's also, I mean, the employee also has a responsibility. So if they're not engaged, if you're not engaged, and you're not enjoying your job, or something isn't working out because circumstances may change, it's important to also discuss this with your manager and see what other options are available, to re-engage.
Mm.
I mean, changing a job is
That's an interesting take, because the question is, how approachable is the manager? And I guess that goes to another podcast, having difficult conversations,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and having the courage to talk to your boss. And ultimately, I believe your leadership's important. I mean, if your leadership's not consistent and accessible and communicative, then you probably have a problem. It's probably not a bad idea to be going looking for another job elsewhere. Um, if you can't communicate and be in that team, if you are, what it was the next topic, how do you undo a hiring disaster? Um,
um, yeah, I mean, that's right. You can have a hiring disaster, that someone is absolutely not right for the job, or the other way around. You might have accidentally picked a company that is not supportive of ideas, and
mm,
your
mm.
ideas, your contribution, and they're not recognizing it, they're not really respecting it, or they're not really wanting you to come up with the great ideas because their leadership wants to have the great ideas and look good. And that can also happen. And then, and then it may be valuable to rethink, do I need to change my job? Maybe that's not working. So they, yeah,
There is a limit. There
it,
is a limit to what
yeah.
can be done. But I always I like to think we're talking here to leaders and would-be leaders, and we're talking about, how do they get their team engaged. And I really think one of the key points here is authenticity. You have to be authentic, and you
Mm.
have to be consistent. You have to be who you are. Pretending to be somebody else isn't going to work, because your team will go, there's something not right here.
That's right.
Humans are instinctive animals. They will feel mistrust, and then they will gather evidence to prove it. They'll
Yeah,
go looking for it.
yeah,
So the really important thing, if you probably right up there amongst the top tips, is be honest with your staff. And more than honest, be authentic. Be prepared to be vulnerable. Be
mm,
prepared to accept criticism. Be
mm,
prepared to accept feedback. Now, that may not always be right, but it, sometimes it is. Sometimes
yeah,
it is, something's not right and could be done better. Or it's a indication from that particular employee they don't see the bigger picture that maybe you are seeing, and you need to make sure that they get that picture. Otherwise, they're going to become disengaged. They're going to say, "No, I don't trust
mm.
you."
That's right, because as you said, we are instinctively wired to sense if someone is not authentic or has a hidden agenda. And I think for the leader, it is important to create this space where people can openly communicate and also challenge each other. I used to work in environments where people were really challenging each other's on their ideas, because it was quite an innovative environment, and they really enjoyed the challenge, and it brought out great ideas and innovation, and 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 they were thriving on that, and then they would just all go out for lunch and have a great lunch. So having the opportunity to openly share your ideas, get feedback, work on something, work it out, improve it. It's very engaging. So
Mm.
yeah, and
And that
sometimes, yeah,
I say, and that comes of having safety, emotional safety, psychological safety in the workplace.
Yeah, and
People don't put their ideas out there if they think they're going to get slammed for being wrong.
yeah, that's that's right. And there is also a balance with emotional safety, because I can see it sometimes it can go too much in the other direction, that people don't even want to, they are just so polite and nice and don't challenge each other anymore. So there are two sides. Either,
Yeah.
you could be in an environment where it can be a bit aggressive, or people, don't let people openly share their ideas and nurture them. And then there's this other tendency that people are just too nice and too polite. So there's a middle way. There's a good
See,
middle way.
neither way, if you're a tyrant or you're weak, neither is effective.
Yeah, that's
Right? This is
right.
this is why we talk about in ways of being that there's a healthy relationship, which is in the middle
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
I mean, I like somewhere along the line I picked up that nice. You know what nice means? Nothing in me cares enough to tell you the truth.
That's a good one. Yes, that's a
Yeah,
good
so
one.
nothing in me cares enough.
Enough to tell you that. Wow, that is a really, I love that one. I have to remember.
So you being nice isn't effective.
It
You're not being kind
that
because nothing's going to happen if if the person's not effective in the job, they're not managing to do the job. Not telling them because you're being nice is cruel.
it is, and being nice is more focused on oneself, because you want the
Yes.
other person like you.
Yeah,
Uh,
you don't
you
want the
you're
approbation of being
the
the
bad guy,
baddie.
the
Yeah.
bad guy, and yeah. So being nice is, yeah, yeah.
Nah.
It's like, what the
Yeah,
hell is
nah.
that, as you said. It's don't care enough to tell the
Yeah.
truth.
Nothing in me
Um,
cares enough.
yeah,
And so when you look at it that way, when we talk about engagement, like know your troops, really genuinely care, be open and vulnerable about your own needs and where you're going and elicit, ask them to help you,
yeah,
ask them to make you help you achieve your goals, and in return help them achieve their goals. So as you become, you don't need to be friends, and I don't think it's a healthy thing, to be honest with you. You can be friendly and respectful, and work together for years as colleagues, and maybe you might have a few friends that come out of that, but you need to also be aware of what your responsibilities are in the workplace, and sometimes it's very difficult to be both friends and leader.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if
That
you're the
is,
team leader, that's what you're getting paid for.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, it does. I mean, it does require a level of awareness and authenticity. If you are a friend with someone in at work and you're their leader, it does require a level of maturity to find the right balance within this. So,
Mm.
um, but it's also, I mean, what I've also noticed from people, once they sort of um, go in the direction of leadership, team leading, managing, this is something that people often find a bit confronting, where they think, "Oh, well, I used to work with them. I'm their peer, and now I'm their manager." And I remember when that happened for me, when I was becoming a manager of managers, and I thought, "Oh my God, they're my peers, and now I'm their manager."
Mm.
And finding it's a new relationship you have with them, and it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden become very distant, but it does require you to rethink the relationship, and
Yeah,
and
and a reset. And I think, Jacqueline, that you have to ask yourself, or why has this happened? Clearly, somebody in the organization has thought that you have the capability
mm,
to lead,
mm,
So get clear on that would be the first thing you need to do. So this is
Yeah.
why we've put you in this position, and
Yeah.
don't hesitate to ask for help again.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to be the most amazing team leader from get-go.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the skills of the managing director if you find yourself leading a team of your peers. No, this is your starting point is leadership.
Yeah.
Go looking for help, go looking for support. Ask. Ask the
And
leaders that you respect.
that's right. You just dropped the word I was picking up on, respect. I mean, you when you move up, you also want to maintain this engagement with your new team. And I find having sort of an initial conversation, getting to understand them, um, and asking for help and asking for advice will also engage them, in this sort of new leader that you are.
Mm.
And um, and and that creates engagement. I mean, when I became a manager of managers, I had two managers in my team that were on different levels, more senior than I was. One was a program manager, and he was more senior in program managing, but he didn't want that job that I took on. And the other one was a department manager who at that time was running a very high profile project and couldn't have my job. And so I had conversations with them, and they were respecting me for me taking on that job. So that's a good one for me.
And
Um,
that
now I sort of re-established the relationship we had, and I also
mm.
acknowledged, I know you have more experience in this, and this is why I'm so happy that you're in my team, because senior program manager, I know how you operate. This is going to be a relief for me, and this creates engagement. So coming back to being
But
part.
I just want to point out there
Yeah.
that you used authenticity and vulnerability
Yeah.
to gain the support of these people who, to be frank, would be problematic if
Good.
they decided to disengage because there's all sorts of
That's
difficulties
right.
around
Yeah, they.
staff management of more senior people, and
Yeah.
you don't want to lose that talent.
Yeah. And
So by opening it, admitting that's the situation, and
mm,
acknowledging their skills and acknowledging how grateful you are that they are in the team, and asking for help. And so this authenticity, because this is the reality. You're dealing with reality there. If you ignore it by going, "Oh, well, I'm the team leader now, so you'll do as I say."
yeah,
Yeah,
engagement.
well, you're
Goodbye.
out there in fantasy land, aren't you? You're not going
Yeah,
to last long.
yeah, yeah. I think that's actually a really important point also for leaders as they move up. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. And also acknowledging others who are in your team and for what they're representing and the type of work they do, and and that will generate engagement rather than
Mm,
distrust. Whether,
mm,
oh my God, no, we have this. Yeah, sometimes also I get this feedback from people who are younger in age, and they take on a leadership role, and then they have someone in their team who is more senior, like by age, and they would have maybe expected to get this role, and that's not always how it works. It goes, you give it by competency, and then the younger leader finds it a bit challenging to be, oh well, now I'm in this role, and why would people respect me? I know we're talking about engagement, but they can also easily, they're not authentic about it, and don't have these conversations, they can easily lose that engagement of the more mature person, but who didn't get that job. It's a.
yeah, so you really got to in that when that happens, you've really got to get that relationship going. You've got to make that a
Yeah.
priority,
Yeah.
and and try and engage like you did by saying, look, I know you didn't want it and I know you couldn't have it, but somebody had to do the job. So here I am. It is worse when the young Turk is put in because the company's planning for the future. So, I mean, I'm anti-ageist because I'm no spring chicken. Um, but having said that, I also appreciate that companies need to sometimes bring in new blood,
Yeah.
and that can be hard for the old guys. I mean, the toughest interview I ever had was with an operations manager who had been the general manager in this company, and there'd been another general manager who had been sacked, and then I got that job. And he looks at me, he's looking to the corner, back to me, going, "I just want you to know, I don't think we needed a new general manager.
Well, that's not
Welcome."
great. Well, yeah, welcome. And here is my 100% engaged team member. Um, right.
But you
Right.
show respect. You show respect. You say, yes, I can understand that.
Exactly.
Mate, I didn't even know you. I just applied for the job. Give me a break.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get to know each other before you hate me.
And I think that's often overlooked, that we can, having open, honest conversation about it, and actually put the white elephant on the table. Okay, I can see,
Mm,
I see that you're upset. I would have been upset too if I'm in your role. Uh,
yeah,
and
I
let's
get it.
let's make the most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
and we were happily look, I won't ever say that we became the best of mates, but we begrudgingly respected each other's positions and we got the job done. That's
yeah,
the key. We
yeah.
got the job done. We got the team engaged and we turned the company around. And that's and honestly, if you have that situation, ultimately you've got to actually back yourself because I knew I was the general manager, whether he liked it or not. And so it was on me to be as kind and work with him and elicit his skills.
Mm,
Um, and I think that's ultimately where it at least neutralized that threat.
that's right. And on this, at the same token, you also mentioned this in my example, you need to own that the company has put you in this
That's
position,
right.
and
Absolutely.
and own the space, uh,
Mm.
own your space, and be that leader.
And a great way of owning that is, I got the correct quote last time, but Socrates, first know thyself.
Yeah.
So, if you really want to know who you are being and how you're turning up, then get in touch with Jacqueline or I, and we will put you through the being profile, and you will find out 31 ways of being that are specifically being picked for effectiveness and leadership and performance
Mm.
by studying some of the most high performing humans on the earth and habits and what they do, and they compare to you, and you will learn. Okay, you've got a pretty healthy relationship here with awareness, but you might have a few problems over here with responsibility. 31 different ways of being that include, oh, so big ones are awareness, integrity, and then there's the effectiveness score, and then there's care, vulnerability, anxiety, and fear. And then I love throwing in authenticity and responsibility and forgiveness and communication. And I could go on, but look, get in touch because that's how this is how people are seeing you. This is
and
how you turn up. It's called the being profile because that's how you're being.
and
And it's kind of handy.
it is. It's like, you're looking under what's underneath the carpet. It's
Hmm.
what's driving your behaviors and your decisions and your thoughts. And
Hmm.
might I add that we do have quite a lot of experience in leadership, and we love developing leaders. I think that's love developing leaders.
A lot of years between us. I think we've
Yeah,
nearly got it. I think
no,
we've probably got our actual ages and some.
No, don't sum it all up. That makes us really old. Although
We don't want to give it away.
it's an impressive number between the two of us. But no,
Yeah.
we're still here. You know, yes, we're more mature, but we've done the yards. We know how it works. Becoming a leader, it hasn't changed over the last 100,000 years. It's still following
Still
same.
dealing with humans,
still,
and that's
still humans,
the reality.
still
Yeah,
humans,
yeah.
and yeah. So I think
That's
that
what we're all about. We might. I'll be open. I might be over the hill. I don't work in the corporate world anymore. I work on the side and in leadership consulting and coaching, and I love doing that because
yeah,
it gives me the opportunity to help people up the hill, even
that's
if I'm
right.
over it.
We push you up. We push you up, and we love it. We love it.
So
And
get in touch. But even if you have any particular questions on team engagement tips, so I've got this situation. What would you do here? Let us know. Email us. It's all down below.
right, right. Um, okay, that's it for today.
See you next time.